jail praying. And the angels came and tore the door down and released him out. He's out of jail now. And he went to the house. What was they doing? Praying. And Rhoda went to the door. Somebody knocked the Rhoda went to the door. She heard his voice. It's Peter. She turned around and told the prayer and said, it's Peter at the door. No, you're out of your mind. When they looked at Pastor Brayson, it's Pastor Brayson. No. No, it ain't. Yes, it is. Hey!
It's a good God.
Hey!
You know, open to 1 John chapter 2. Today is like a day of celebration. First John chapter 2. If I should give this a title, I would say Knowing God. In 1 John chapter 2 verse 3, John wrote, and hereby we do know that we know him if we keep his commandments. If we keep his commandments. So, knowing God is obeying God. And in obeying God, we're knowing him. If we know him, we obey him. In other words, the more we know God, the more we obey him. Because there is nothing better than obeying God. So, if you see someone obeying God, that is a sign that they truly know God. Because no one can obey God except they know him. Except they know him. There's no other way people obey God. So if you want to obey God and you have difficulty obeying God, try to know who he is. Because if you know who he is, you will feel you have no choice but to obey him. Those who don't know him, ignore him. Those who don't know him, turn their back on him. It's because they don't know him. Those who disobey God is because they don't know him. Every act of obedience is for our good. You know, God does not want us to obey him just because we want to elevate God. No, we obey because we want to be uplifted. It's for our own promotion. You know, it comes like saying, you are in school, right? You want to graduate, but you don't want to read. Maybe it may happen, you know. You know, it's the same thing. You go into school, you're being taught, you just want to, some don't even attend lectures these days. Well, how do we know you went to school? The certificate. How will they give you the certificate if you didn't pass the exam? How will you pass the exam if you didn't sit for it? So, those who know God, obey him. Those who know him, obey him. And those who obey him, know him. The more we obey him, the more we know him. You know, we cannot just sit down and say, Lord, I want to know you. Lord, I want to understand you. Have you obeyed him? Have you obeyed him? You know, one good example is like God says, prove me with your tithes, for example. If you don't do the tithing, then you can't prove him. You don't do the tithing, you can't prove him. But so it starts with you trying to prove him. It says, prove me. That's his word. So he said, John says, and hereby we know that we know him if we keep his commandments. He that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandment is a liar, and the truth is not in him. You know, we have a lot of people these days, a lot of Christians, a lot of churches. What they do is that they go to the Bible, they take some segments, that's the segment they obey, the rest, they don't like it. They throw it away. They say, oh, I'm obeying. Yeah, I'm the true Christian. Look at Orusa. No, he's not a true Christian. He says, he that saith, I know him, keepeth not his commandment is a liar. And the truth is not in him. Because it's not possible. It's not possible to know God without obeying God. It's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. You say you know somebody, but you're not talking to him. You say you know somebody, but you don't talk to the person. It's not possible. You know how some people say, well, I have some friends. They will quote the name. They say, well, have you met the person? I say, no. Have you spoken to the person? No. How is he your friend? Because I see him on TV. Is that enough? No. Exactly. So John is saying, he that saith, I know him, and keepeth not his commandment is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keepeth his word, in him, verily, is the love of God perfected. You see that? The love of God perfected. So God loves all of us. Even those who hate him. Even those who don't know him, he loves them. But God's love is perfected in those who obey him. You know, if you're a parent and your child doesn't obey you, anything you tell them, they don't do it, they won't do it. And then you say, okay, because you didn't do it, I'm not going to buy you that shirt you desire. You have clothes to wear. I take care of you. I'm your parent. I love you so much. But I'm not going to buy you that shirt that I know you crave for. So when obedience is tied to our relationship with God, God's love in our lives is perfected. His love becomes perfect in our lives. There is a reward for obeying God. And that reward is perfect love from God. There is a love that God sets aside for those who obey him. A special love. It's a perfect love. There is a reward for obeying God and doing his will. Because it's very easy as a Christian doing your best to be a child of God to just assume that your efforts are meaningless. It's very easy. It's very easy to look down on our efforts. I mean, there are a lot of people who would rather be sleeping at home right now. If I took the pain to come to church, I better believe that God will bless me for it. I will be a fool to think God will not bless me for coming, not forsaking the assembly of the righteous. For I must be a fool to think that there is no special blessing for that. It's very easy to overlook that perfect love that God has for us, because God loves all of us. He loves everybody, and that is true. But there is a special love he has for those who obey him. It's all in the scriptures. He said, but whoso keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of God perfected. Perfected. All love is not the same. Hello? All love is not the same. It's not the same. You know, we use the word love. All love is not the same. If it were the same, then we'll be in trouble. But it's not the same. It's not the same. There is a perfect love from God. So God loves too. And he has his perfect love. God loves those who hate him. God loves those who do not know him. God loves those who abuse him. But for those who love him and obey him, he has perfect love for them. And he said, hereby know we that we are in him. So in that perfect love, you are in him. You are preserved in him. You dwell in him. You are anchored unto him. So what that perfect love means is, God, you are rooted into God and God is in you. He is your anchor. He is your foundation. He is your rock. And when God is your rock, nothing can shake you. When God is your rock, nothing can move you. When God is your rock, nothing can destroy you. And that is very important to know. We are in him when we keep his word. Why do we keep his word? Because we know him. It's like the relationship between Abraham and God. Abraham did what he did because he knew God. So long as he knew God was the one speaking to him, he felt he had to obey because he knew God. The relationship Abraham had with God, not many people have that kind of relationship. He knew God. And because he knew God, it was easy for him to obey God. Obeying God is knowing God. And by obeying him, you know him more. No one can know God in 100%. The day you know God 100%, you can't leave. You'll be gone. But there's always a higher place with God. And that higher place comes as we do his word, as we do his commandments, as he has asked us to do. He said, he abided. He that said he abided in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walketh. So you're rooted in God, in the foundation of God. It reflects in everything you do. It reflects in your daily walk. So, being anchored in God, obeying God, knowing God, God now reflects in everything about our lives. As we look upon him, he releases himself upon us. And that is what God is all about. The more we love him, the more we obey him. The more we obey him, the more we know him. And the more we know him, the more we walk like we know him. When you look at somebody in their everyday life, they don't even need to tell you that they are a child of God. Just by the way they walk and carry themselves, what they do, what their decisions are, you will know whether or not they love God. Are they obeying God? They can't hide it. They can't do it only on certain days. They will do it throughout. And that is what it means to know God. To know God means to trust him enough to obey him, knowing fully well that the result of the obedience will make us know him even the more. We will gain all the way. Hallelujah to his name. Let's just rise on our feet this morning. It's a good God.